Budget 2026, and Mr. Anant Goenka, President FICCI, is joining us here. He's also the top boss of the RBG group. So, first off, I'm going to pose some questions specifically to your role related to FICCI. Your thoughts as the president and as a committee, I'm sure a whole plethora of suggestions must have gone out. What was at the top of your budget wish list as a committee and as Anant Goenka yourself?
I think the top wish list was a focus on infrastructure and manufacturing. I think both of these have been well addressed. There's an increase in infrastructure spend by about 10%. On the manufacturing side, it's been a very strategic focus on 7 key sectors, some of which are strategically important from the country, such as semiconductors, rare earths, and some which are focused on job creation, textiles, apparels, shoes, leather. So to that extent, very well balanced. Also a fair amount of focus on MSMEs, and to that extent, whether it's credit guarantee, export promotion, so very comprehensive and fairly well balanced in terms of job creation, stability and growth.
The Capex 12 lakh crore, did that come as a surprise for you, or something that you were on, that was on the expected lines as a committee, and something that you thought before the budget?
No, I think the government has been very clear on its messaging that infrastructure investment is important, and there are, I'd say, multiplier effects of doing public capex. Job creation, cost of doing business comes down, movement of people from one location to the other improves, sustainability, lateral impact is there. So I'd say public capex and infrastructure improvement is something which we did expect or hope for, I'd say.
Considering the current geopolitical situation, a lot was expected as far as exports was concerned. We are doing a fair bit and prioritizing critical minerals, rare earth elements after what China did back in 2025. That was needed. Also, shipbuilding and ports, that's one of the key focus areas as well. Your thoughts on these two particular sectors and in the current geopolitical
Right. So on critical minerals particularly, we recommended a post-mining critical minerals tailings program. So this is recovery of critical minerals from mines. That I believe was addressed actually a week ago. And to that extent, that focus on critical minerals is very relevant. It was also touched upon by the Chief Economic Advisor, where we said we have to move from Swadeshi to strategic indispensability in terms of our position in the world. So having that ownership of critical minerals becomes all the more important. With respect to exports, there was a fair amount of easing that has happened on customs duties, on movement from penal action to simplification or to fees. So I think to that extent, that has an indirect effect on exports. Also, the rupee depreciation to a certain extent has itself makes it easier or lower cost to export out. So to a certain extent, I'd say exports is addressed. But I think the macro of as cost of doing business, ease of doing business, infrastructure spends, all of that happens, automatically the cost of exports comes down.
You said to a certain extent, that means there were some misses probably that were suggested and that didn't really translate into this budget. What were those, and if you could highlight that really could have changed things for Indian export?
Yeah, no, I don't think there is anything that we had really in mind on the exports front that was a miss.
But anything that you think were hits, of course you've mentioned, but misses that could have been incorporated?
At a macro level, a couple of areas that we would have liked to hear more about. One is Prime Minister's focus on Swachh Bharat. So we did touch upon living upgradation of cities in some way. But how does that link to Swachh Bharat would be certainly something we could hear more on. Second is there has been an increased outlay on defense, but the details are not clear. Post Operation Sindoor and the wars happening around the world, we thought there would be more investment and higher capital outlay on defense. There's a lot of change technology.
Markets were also expecting
as well. So I think that area is something where we thought we would hear more about.
I was specifically referring to the exports part, and I believe one of the other committee members did mention to me that on the exports front, we were expecting something else as well. Uh, amid a plethora of recommendations that were done. So, there any misses that you think could have been suggested?
To a certain extent, one thought was, can there be an increased outlay on the RODDEP scheme? There's an 18,000 crore outlay at this point of time. So we did recommend a slightly increased outlay on RODDEP. Besides that, all good on exports.
So all fulfilled.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Finally, just specifically related to the RPG group, you have a whole lot of sectors to have in mind, but specifically KEC and a few other companies as well. If you can talk about how does this bode well for the rest of the subsidiaries under the RPG group as well, and what are your thoughts?
Right. So one is increased outlay on infrastructure and focus on data centers. As you have foreign companies coming in and setting up data centers as a result of the tax holiday, there will be a need for power transmission and distribution infrastructure. And to that extent, that is a very positive indicator in terms of future demand for infrastructure and KEC. With respect to other sectors, I think the services space has also seen a fair amount of easing with respect to the advanced APA that has come in, as well as safe harbor rules that have changed on transfer pricing. So both these will have a positive impact on the IT services business as well.
So many thanks for speaking to us here on the India Today group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.